Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to be back again. I would like to begin by leading us in a meditation. So, if you would all just take a beautiful, deep, cleansing breath, and as you release that, close your eyes and just imagine that you are connected to heavens above with a long string, a golden string that reaches up and touches heaven. And that golden string comes back down into your head. And picture a beautiful, light, cleansing rain, a rain of gold and white light that just falls upon you. And as it does, your entire body just absorbs this love and light in the form of rain. A rain that is cleansing and nourishing every part of your body. As it touches you, it reinvigorates all of the cells of your body with love and light and the power that you were bequeathed by Jesus. Just energizing every cell in your body, from your shoulders, through your arms, through your torso, and down through your hips and legs and feet. And the rain falls all the way down and seeps into the ground, spreading this wonderful light and love. And imagine the nourishment that your cells are all receiving from this beautiful light rain. And breathe into that rain, that nourishment, that love, and know that this is you, this is yours. And this comes from God. And it's always here. It's always here. And that leads me into my message for this morning. And I just this morning was inspired to write this new message. So it is slightly different than the title that was given. But this morning when I got up, it was raining early this morning. That gentle, steady, no wind, straight down kind of rain. Farmers call it the $1 million rain, pouring out of the heavens at a slow, steady pace, allowing the ground time to drink it in and soak it up. I opened the patio door to listen. The sound of the rain was steady. In the background, the birds were singing and chattering. I closed my eyes. I took a long, slow, deep breath. On the exhale, I felt the most profound feeling of peace. I relaxed into it. I took another long, slow, deep breath. I thought, this is it. This is the feeling, the moment. Peace. Then for a moment, I wasn't thinking at all. I was simply at peace. Time stopped. Just for a moment, time stopped. Eventually, I started to go about my morning again, but in peace. I thought, how do I have more moments like this? This is when John 10:10 popped into my mind, which to me is God's voice talking to me. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Who or what is the thief? My rainy morning led me to think the thief is anyone or anything that we allow to steal our peace. It can be many things, some big, but more likely it's often a compilation of small things, insidious things, the tiny details of our lives that we don't notice entering our daily routines, slowly eroding our peace. In my life, there always seems to be a background noise. Music, television, if nothing else, the drone of the water cooler and the fridge, the phone with its many notifications, texts, and calls. Noise. If you have ever experienced a power outage, and I'm sure you all have, you have noticed noise. The noise that suddenly is no longer there. The noise that we only hear in its absence. The little background noises of our life. These can be physical noises, such as the low humming of the appliances in our homes, but they can also be other things. Endless thinking, the scrolls of to-do lists that are always playing through our minds, kind or unkind words of yesterday, regret, guilt, noise. Noise can be the unimportant or at least less important things that we allow to take up our valuable time. In my life, this can be allowing myself to be distracted by the pop-ups. I go to my computer to get something done and fall victim to the distraction of some ad, some news, a Facebook message, the new book sitting on my reading chair, some random fact that I suddenly want to check, or what time does the Stanley Cup start tonight? I know Texans love their football, but I'm Canadian. Even sitting here writing this speech. More coffee? Bathroom break? Want some breakfast? None of these things are bad or wrong, but just not at this moment. I find myself saying, focus, Sherry, many, many times a day. Often I jest whenever I catch myself or a friend being distracted. We will say out loud, squirrel. I want to go back to the context of John 10:10. I will read John 10:10, John 10, 1 to 10. Very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Let's take this apart. Bear with me. It will connect back to the rainy morning, I promise. Very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in some other way, is a thief and a robber. The Pharisees were the religious leaders of the time, but they often were self-serving instead of servants of God's people. They were the only people that Jesus criticized in the Bible. The thief, of course, has always been identified as Satan. But Satan does not show up in his red cape holding his trident-shaped tail in his hand. He shows up as the noise, the distraction, whatever it is, good or bad, that leads us away from peace, from the shepherd, from Jesus. Back to the verse. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep, Jesus. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, God, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. We, the sheep, his sheep, we know. How many people here have ever, even just one time, been able to say, I know that I know that I know, because we heard his voice? Maybe in our head, maybe in our heart, maybe in the words of a song, a line in a movie, or something said to us by a friend. We know when we hear his voice. And back to the verse. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. As sheep, followers of Christ, children of God, heirs to the throne, co-creators with God, bequeathed his power, told that we will do what Jesus has done and more. We will run away from the stranger's voice. What is the stranger's voice? Again, it can be many things. The wrong type of media, television, books, movies, advertisements, conversations, gossip, temptation. Again, it doesn't show up in a red suit. It shows up in everyday life, in the distractions, the temptations. Back to the verse. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. Jesus is the gate. Jesus the Christ is the gate. The Christ consciousness is the gate. What is Christ consciousness? Christ consciousness is the embodiment of what Jesus lived by example and taught. It is the embodiment of his life and his teachings, the qualities of love, joy, service, devotion, courage, and surrender. It is the oneness. It is us trying to be the best version of us that we can be. Being aware of what we're exposing ourselves to in our life, of what we allow into our hearts, into our minds. Back to the verse. They will come in and go out and find pasture. Is this not peace? Coming and going at our will, finding pasture, a place of nourishment, a place of rest, a place of joy, a place of peace. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. The only purpose of many of life's distractions is to steal, kill, and destroy our peace. Now, not all distractions. There's lots of good and fun things that we do. But if those things get in the way of us having peace, for instance, maybe there are many people that we want to help, many people we want to visit, many things we want to take part in our life and in other people's lives, to be a part of something wonderful, fun, joyful. But if we put so many of these things in our lives that we don't have time or take the time or allow the time for us to hear his voice, then that is getting in the way of us feeling that peace, being in that peace. So these are what I love the word insidious. It sounds sort of evil, but it isn't really. It just means the little things that go unnoticed, that creep in. They don't have to be bad things. But if we fill our lives, and I am so guilty of this, I say yes to so many things, and then I find one day I wake up and like it's all has to be done that day, or I've overbooked myself. And it's lovely to have so many opportunities. But I am learning to be responsible to myself and to peace, because peace is the foundation that I wish to live my life from. And that involves some time management, is one way of putting it. Lastly, he says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. A full life, an abundant life, a purpose-filled life, a life of love, of devotion, of courage, surrender, a life of oneness, a life of striving to be the best person that I can be, to walk in Jesus's path, in his footsteps. A rainy morning, his voice calling me to listen. The birds chirping, calling me to listen. A meditation, calling me to listen. All of these things we have to choose. We have to make time for them in our lives. And we can do this with the ones we love. We can incorporate it into the ebb and flow of our lives. We can share a walk in the park with a friend or a child. We can notice the beauty of nature. We can feel. We were given these wonderful senses, and we rely so heavily on the sense of vision. I find it very refreshing, particularly in places such as a park, let's say, to sit down and close my eyes. Because all of a sudden, I notice things. I notice with my eyes closed the laughter of children. Peace. I notice the smell of a local French fry stand or hot dog stand. If it's been raining, you can actually smell the freshness of the rain. We can take off our shoes and feel the grass on our feet. There are so many ways that we can incorporate peace into the life that we're already living. When we spend time with friends, it fills us up. It replenishes our soul. It's an important time. And what are we talking about when we're having this important time with our friends? We need to be intentional with the time. We need to spend time filling other people up as we ourselves are being filled up by these relationships that we've been blessed with. There are many things in our life that make you lose track of time. Take a moment and just try to recall one thing in your life that you do, that when you do it, you just lose all sense of time. It could be playing with your grandchildren or your children, or just listening or watching children. It's pretty joyful. It could be art. Perhaps you're a painter or someone who loves to sketch or dance or sing. Joyful, all joyful activities that, if we're intentional about it, meaning to find the peace, remembering to find the peace, to think about the peace and let it in. Singing these songs is such a beautiful, peaceful time. And after this morning and this rain, I'm really more focused on just feeling and letting in the peace. I've always loved the music, but just understanding that that's peace being gifted to me, replenishing my soul with more peace from beautiful music. So maybe that's the thing that just takes away all sense of time. Playing music. If you are gifted to play music, what a wonderful blessing to have. I know many people that have this gift, and when they're playing, they're totally in their own world, it seems. And what a beautiful thing that is. So think about what those things are in your life where you lose track of time, because this is a clue to find your places of peace. Find where peace is in your life. And maybe because you do it often, you just don't think of it that way. These things are his voice. In the purpose of reading John 1 to 10 was to focus on how we hear his voice. What is the importance of hearing his voice? His voice brings us peace. When we read Bible verses, when we take time every morning in a meditation, in reading just a few verses, there is such great comfort and peace in that to me. And particularly if I do it on a daily basis, which I admittedly can fall off that habit. I get taken away by something else that needs to be done, and I forget. I forget to go back again. Being aware that we always need to hear his voice and that we can, that we are co-creators with God, that we can hear his voice. And sometimes it comes in many different ways, but it's always important. And when we hear it, we know, we know, we know that we know that we know that we heard it. He is always calling to us. He always wants to spend time with us. It's important that we take the time to listen. The intention of listening is important as well. Really intend to slow down enough in our crazy world and actually listen to things that he wants to tell us. Listen to the rain. Feel the sun on your face. And hear his voice. Everyone can hear his voice. But it comes with quiet. And I think often of the verse that says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not something that most of us are accustomed to. It's not something that this world makes easy. We are constantly being bombarded with messages of all kinds from all directions. And so we must be intentional about hearing his voice. And I think that that's what this verse particularly means. Be still. That's the first part. We have to be still. Stop moving. Stop doing. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and listen to the rain.